Cool. Hey, welcome. This is a Q&A. You ask questions, I answer them. It's all pretty simple and straightforward. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below or on the Ask Ben section area on my Discord server. So let's get stuck into it. CM2JK2QU, they asked the question, do you think Bionicle's going to return in 2025? Yeah, especially because we haven't really seen any images or leaks or any other things confirming that. What's the deal? Well, no. And I hate that. I wish it would, but I think it's just not gonna happen, and that sucks. I think it's always important to have hope, of course, because, hey, there's a lot of things that happened in LEGO that I didn't think would happen, like the Optimus Prime and Bumblebee sets. I never thought that Hasbro and LEGO would collab like that, and they did. So it's important to be hopeful. What's the reason that I think it won't happen? I think the biggest hurdle is the molds. For example, we've got our Hero Factory 2.0 characters. Put it here, so I almost dropped it. I'll put it here so it's not in front of the mic. With this wave of sets alone, so many new pieces, so many new molds were introduced. You got 1, 2, this is technically a new mold because it's a rubber piece, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, there must be at least 15, 20 new molds in this character alone. Sure, they were spread across other 2.0 characters, so that made it a bit more financially reasonable. But if they were to bring back Bionicle, they'd have to bring back so many pieces or introduce so many new CCBS or whatever brand new system kind of elements. And that's really expensive. Molds are not cheap. And unfortunately, as much as I wish they did, LEGO doesn't hold on to their old molds. I've been to the factory in Denmark. I've spoken to the people there. That's just not what happens. So I think it would just be too expensive for them to do. And I can imagine from the finance side with LEGO, they'd be like, that's just too much of a commitment. And from what I understand, G2 died because it was so intensive having to need new molds all the time. Now, sure, new LEGO sets have new molds, but Bionicle, it would need a lot. That being said, Ninjago has so many mechs and robots and different things, so I think there is demand for this kind of thing. And I think it's important to just wait until the culture changes. I'm sure right now, no one really wants Bionicle. LEGO doesn't think it would sell. I know we want Bionicle, but we're kind of that minority. You look at something like the Classic Space 90th anniversary set that came out not too long ago. That set sold incredibly well within the first week, but that's because AFOLs were buying it. Afterwards, it didn't sell well. You saw it on clearance all the time in Walmart and different locations. There wasn't a huge amount of interest from kids for that specific set. And I foresee that would be the same thing with Bionicle. We'd have probably 20, 30, 40,000 or 100,000 people across the world who would love it and want it and buy it day one. And then a bunch of people in today's generation would be like, I don't know what this Bionicle is, doesn't interest me. So I think that's the reason it's not coming back, is because there's no major interest. But hey, Exoforce came back in that one LEGO City set, so maybe we'll see it return through LEGO City in a kind of subtle Easter eggy kind of way, which would be cool. So yeah, sadly, I think it's a no, which sucks. Indigo ONTM, they ask, what's my favorite Bionicle mock that someone else has made? Well, that's a really hard question because there's so many good mocks out there, but to narrow it down, and I can't give you one straight answer, I'm going to give you a couple. Joxon's Megatron mock, which isn't Megatron, but it also is. I love that. Some insane texture work on that and just brilliant character design. Mitch builds their Maxilos and Spinax mock. That's the definition of a perfect revamp. Keeping that old flair, but I don't know, finding new ways of making it new and spicy and cool. It's amazing. And I love Brandon Build's Tahu Lord of Fire. I think I just really like that aesthetic of overflowing with power. Any kind of Bionicle, very classic Bionicle build, or a Neo Toa, a revamped Toa with a brand new style, brand new pieces. That's my jam. Oh, and Donnie's Gold Dragon, which isn't specifically Bionicle. That might be the best thing I've ever seen built, ever. Great part use, amazing designs, just revolutionary techniques that no one else has really done. We're going to look back on this mock from years from now and be like, oh yeah, everyone builds like that now. This is groundbreaking. It's beautiful. So yeah, Nimbus asks, what other hobbies do you have outside of Lego? Well, I collect Pokemon cards. I used to do that a lot when I was a kid. I then sold a bunch of my Pokemon cards, and then recently, after seeing like Instagram posts and things, I was like, Pokemon would be fun to collect again, so I got back into that. I wish I hadn't sold my Pokemon cards when I was a kid, because I think I got like $150 for them, and now they'd be worth probably as much as a house. You know, I had some really good ones as a kid, unfortunately. But I love my Pokemon. I just like the pretty cards. You know, I don't know a huge amount about it. I just like the artwork. I play D&D with my friends in my free time. That's a lot of fun. I also collect comic books. I have a few graded comics, and I like collecting certain specific issues or variant covers and things that have cool artwork on them. And if not, I just read a lot of graphic novels, specifically like Marvel, DC stuff, more so Marvel, and a few other things here and there. But I love that. And I also collect action figures. I specifically collect the 6-inch Black Series Star Wars figures and the Marvel Legends 6-inch figures. And occasionally I'll dabble and buy a few out there different action figures that I think look cool. But I always like that kind of like 6-inch size for action figures. I like them all being consistent so that it's easier to display them. Boreal Archer 138, they ask, what's the rarest mask that I own? I guess it's the Pearl Gold Krakan mask, which is like a $1,000 mask now. It's ridiculous. I remember when that sold for like $200 online. I got that in a bulk lot on eBay, and the bulk lot came with like probably 100 extra masks. I think it was like $100, so I was like, cool, this mask is paying for the whole thing essentially. But yeah, I love that mask. It's beautiful. And then maybe some of the G2 promo masks, like the Skull Scorpio mask and the Trans Clear How. I guess those would be pretty rare too. Freddy Castle C6CH, they say, what's your favorite Hero Factory and Bionicle set? I do like the Cardus Dragon. It's just big, it's just cool. I like dragons. And the fact that it's 3 sets in one, 3 really good sets. Axon, Brutaka, Vizok, Fenrak. Vizon. I said Vizok. What the yeah. Amazing set from a set point of view, but also the combo model is breathtaking. And then for Hero Factory, Mark Surge 1.0, I would say. He's right there on the shelf. Amazing. I love him so much. I love that mask. Or Core Hunter, who he's right here. My boy Core Hunter. Yeah, he's just too cool, man. What happened to his ball? What happened to his hemisphere? It fell on the... Aha! This cup is the size of my face. And kind of the parallel to that question, Sage Delta 7, they ask, what's your least favorite Bionicle set? That's tough, because I genuinely love pretty much every Bionicle. If I had to give you an answer, maybe one of the Vaki. I love some of the Vaki, like, I never learned the Vaki names. The blue one, my favorite, so cool, great colors for it, good design. But I guess some of the other recolors aren't as exciting. That's not to say it's a bad set, it just doesn't grab me in the same way. But I still like that set, it's cool. A few different people asked similar questions about how much I showcase on my YouTube channel of other people's mocks, but what about my mocks? Well, there is a long and complicated answer to that. So when I make my videos on YouTube, they take quite a while. On average, videos take about 6 hours to 8 hours to make. Sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, it just depends on the video, which is why I like to keep them at about 8 minutes so that I'm not spending a whole day making a video. And I have pretty high standards for my videos. Pretty much the reason for that is when I watch other people's videos, there's little things that I kind of will nitpick with it, or I'll be like, I've lost interest or whatever. It's not a common occurrence. There's still a lot of videos I watch that I love, but I want to make sure that my videos are really like concise and entertaining and straightforward, and when I'm talking about something you see it on your screen, like that kind of stuff. So I put a lot of effort and energy into them to make sure that they're really high quality, but that takes a lot of time. Pretty much on average, I'll do 2 videos a day, sometimes even 1. It takes up pretty much my entire day to do it. Obviously I take breaks and I do other things here and there, but I really don't have a huge amount of time to build mocks, at least this year when I've been doing daily uploads. Which sucks. I hate it. I love making my videos, that's fun, but I hate that I'm not building as much as I used to. That's one of my favorite things to do, so it's a shame when I'm not able to do it as much as I used to. That being said, I'm trying to find a bit more time to be able to do that. At the moment, I'm building something for Brickvention, which I'll be going to early next year in Melbourne. So Castle Mock, you'll have to stay tuned to see that one. Yeah, I'm trying to find some time to get back into that. And later next year, I will probably be getting back into another LEGO-related job that I've done in the past. And I probably won't be able to do daily uploads as a result, but I'll probably stick to doing like 2 or 3 uploads like I used to a year or so ago. And during that time, I'll be able to build a little bit more. So yeah, I'd love to. I wish I had the time to do more. At the moment, with how intensive videos are, I'm not able to, which sucks. But videos are fun, and I love doing them, and I'm not about to slow down on that, because I get a lot of joy out of doing that as well. And I do that for you guys, because I know you enjoy them. But on like my Flickr and my Instagram, you can see some of the mocks I've built. I do have mocks that I've made in the past. All right. Power questions. Let's try and like breeze through a bunch of them real quick here. We've got 5 ones. Let's go fast with these. And then I mess up the words. I'm trying to go fast. Superior Bricks 8544. They say, what's your favorite anime? Attack on Titan, but at the moment I'm deep into One Piece. I'm like 480 episodes in. I've just started Marineford. It's so good. That's probably my favorite anime. Either one of those two. It's tough to decide between them. Mortex Berry, they say, what's your favorite retired Lego color? Sand red. I love sand colors, and that specific shade of red is so easy to use on like old buildings, interesting landscapes, stuff like Geonosis from Star Wars. It looks great in that. I wish that Lego would bring back that color. It's so beautiful. Master Owen 5112, they say, what's your favorite place that you've traveled to? Probably Denmark, specifically Billund, Denmark, because like it's a town that's surrounded by Lego. It's so easy to find really like rare and wonderful Lego items and, you know, op shops and just general shops and stuff like that. And it's a town that's so absorbed within Lego itself and so rich with Lego history, and I love that stuff so much. So going there is amazing. Basil Stack, they say, what's your favorite video game series? I really like Persona 5. I really like Beyond Two Souls. I also really enjoy Pokemon. Any Pokemon game, if I had to pick one, Black and White 2, amazing. But I guess my favorite ever game would probably be Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. The first one, the second one's okay. It's still good, but the first one is amazing. Under the Brick, they say, what's the first set that you remember owning? I bought, as a little kid, 6429 Firefighting Boat. I believe that's my very first Lego set. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm like 99% sure that it is. It's either that's my first or like second. It was one of the very, very early ones. Here's me holding it here in the Lego Vault in Denmark when I was doing the inside tour. Very, very happy memory there. Probably one of the like top 5 moments of my life. All right, power questions over. We did those as quick as I could. Next question. Takeaway Justin, they say, how many mocks have you made? Quite a lot, actually. I think it's like 60, 80, something like that over the course of my life. It's probably even more than that. I don't know. I'm showing you a few here amongst my Lego collection that I have on display at the moment. A lot of system stuff, a lot of Star Wars, a lot of Castle, a lot of Marvel, a lot of superhero stuff. You can see a lot of it on my Instagram or my Flickr if you're interested. I also have videos of some of these mocks on my YouTube. You can check those out if you're interested. And a few Bionicles here and there too. I have a lot of old Bionicle mocks that I've taken apart, and new ones well on the way. Before you ask, I do actually have a room tour video. A lot of people ask for that, but it is there on the YouTube channel. And I am going to be posting a updated one very soon, because I've made a lot of changes to my Lego room recently, which are, I'm very excited about them, so I'll happily share that with you guys in time. Justin also asks, how did I get into Lego? I think my brother really likes Lego, and then I just did as a result as well, but I mean, the toys are just really cool. I think they just hooked me as a kid and I never stopped. He also says, how many questions can one person ask? I don't know, however many you want. Fletch Bowden Chat 8813, they say, do you keep a little dirt under your pillow for the Dirt Man? Yeah, I do, just in case he comes to town. And also so he won't take me to his lair deep under the mountain, because like that's where he keeps his dirt. Burrito Duma, they say, do you like cookies? And what's your favorite Transformer? Two wonderfully unrelated questions. I love it. I love Optimus Prime. I love Shockwave. I love Bumblebee. I love Hotshot from the old Unicron trilogy. That's really hard to pick. Probably Optimus Prime. As a kid, I loved him so much, and I still do. He's really cool. Do I love cookies? I frickin' love cookies. It's probably my favorite dessert. The best cookies in the world are crumble cookies from America, and I hate that we don't have it in Australia, because every time I go to America, I buy as many as I can. They're so good. Gabalicious Serincintito, I butchered your name, I'm sorry. Gabalicious, they ask, would you move to Denmark? Absolutely. I'd love to go at some point in my life. I hope to work for Lego sometime in the future. But that's a really big commitment, and I have a lot of Lego that I have to take with me, so like, I want to get my YouTube channel to a point where I'm very happy and I've made all the videos I want to make, which will probably be like in a couple of years' time. I don't really know. We'll see when I feel ready, and when I'm able to make that commitment, because that's a massive life change, but I would like to do that at some point, yeah. RoyalMox08, they say, what mask power would you have if you could have a mask power? Teleportation, because I love going to the American Lego conventions, and flying there from where I live in the world in Australia takes like frickin' 28 hours or something ridiculous when you add up all the travel time. So just being able to teleport straight to Brick Fair, Virginia, or Bricks Cascade, or Brick World, or whatever would be a dream. And still related to videos, Mecha Punk, they say, what's the process behind making the Bionicle Inspiration series videos? Do you have a list of mocks that you've spoken about so you won't like double up on mocks? And are there any mocks that you don't ever want to showcase? There are certain mocks I won't showcase. Any mock that is like grounded in racism or sexism or is derogatory in some way, I'm probably going to steer clear of that. As for how I pick mocks for the show, the kind of process behind that, on my Instagram and my Flickr, I have separate like dedicated folders or like lists and stuff of mocks that I see, and I'll just sort of, whenever I'm looking through Instagram and Flickr, I'll just add some to those folders. And then when it's time for me to make a Biss episode, I'll look through those folders, I'll pick out ones that I really like. I also then, of course, look through the submission email and I pick out ones that are either related to what I want to talk about or that I look at and go, I could talk about that mock. But specifically, the main thing I always look for is a mock that's going to be really good for the thumbnail. Because that's the thing that grabs people, hooks them in, and makes them want to watch the episode. So I just want to have something really striking or interesting in the thumbnail. I typically look for mocks that are really like dynamically posed, or something from pop culture, or just something really visually interesting. And then I'll kind of start with that mock, and then from there, I'll decide the theme based off of that one creation. Or if I just sort of have a group of stuff from my folders and my submissions and stuff, I can kind of shape the theme around that. But I tend to find the mocks first and then make the theme up, which is why I don't say like, hey, the next episode's going to be about this, because I tend to not know until I start making the video. From there, I'll write up a script. Typically, like, my logic behind picking mocks is if I have something to talk about with it. There'll be times people will submit stuff and I'll be like, I don't really know what I'm going to be able to say about this mock. And then it'll be the following week and I'll be like, I could write an essay about that exact same mock that I had nothing to talk about last week. So it varies, you know. Once I write the script, I record the audio, I then match that audio in Premiere Pro to the visuals. I then render the video, I then watch it back to make sure there's no errors or issues. I then upload it, and that's kind of the main process behind that. But I don't know, if you had a more specific question about any other processy stuff, feel free to ask. What was the other thing you said? Yeah, I usually remember the mocks that I featured before, and to be fair though, I don't really mind doubling up on mocks. I don't want to do it too much. I try to not do that, but if a mock is just perfect for the video that I have in mind or the topic that I'm talking about, I'll happily feature it again. But I try to feature stuff that I haven't featured in a long, long time. That doesn't always happen, but, you know. And to be fair, at the end of the day, Biss isn't really... It is about showcasing the mocks of the community, because that's important, and I love that it is about that. But at the end of the day, it is about inspiring people, and I want to pick the best mocks that are going to really encapsulate the theme that I'm talking about, and that will most likely be able to inspire people. So if that means doubling up, I don't mind that too much. But that's it for this Q&A. We answered, I think there was like 19 or 20 questions. It was a lot. But you guys sent me like 75 questions, I think it was. It was a lot. So, hey, I could make another episode right now with all the questions I've got, but please, ask me more. They'll be in the comments below. We'll see if I'll continue this and make this a full series. If you guys are interested, if people are hungry for more, I'll do more. This was fun. I'm happy to make more. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Happy building, and bye for now.